Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, and hang on just a second. There is a little bit more light. So anyway, good morning and happy Friday to everybody. Today, we're going to talk about who's really stealing your intellectual property. And this is complicated, and I want to give you some general ideas. So most people do not steal ideas. Ideas are like belly buttons. Everybody's got one. And it doesn't really matter how cute yours is. I can't sell it. That's just the way it is. So not really ideas. Now, you still want to be careful, right? Use a non-disclosure, non-compete. I give these away free. So if you need one, send me an email, read at Archimedes Offspring, and I am more than happy to send you one free of charge. And whoever you're talking to, it says they're not going to tell and they're not going to compete against you. Most people will just use an NDA and it says nothing about competing against them. Well, if you're really afraid of somebody stealing your intellectual property, why wouldn't you want them to not compete? All right, so put that one in your basket of to-do list. All right, so once again, people generally do not steal ideas. They steal market share. Right. One of the things that we run into with the patent office these days is the PTAB. Well, it's not until somebody has done all of the work to tee up the project and the invention and get it into the marketplace and start getting some traction that another company says, oh, well, let's just knock that off. Let's just copy it. And that is the problem. So the inventor has done all of the work. You have done all of the work and somebody else takes it. Now, the default is to always blame China. Stop blaming China. Okay, most of you are not dealing with defense spending and the high-techy stuff, the stuff that they really want. Generally, products, the consumer products, it is not China that steals it. Now, there's an exception to everything. All right, it is normally, all right, most often, someone here in the U.S. who says, "Oh, kind of like that," they're getting some traction, and they place the order in China. So go find out who it really is and stop defaulting to blaming China. It's usually somebody in the US that wants part of your market share. So when we go back then to the idea of, well, then why should I even file a patent? Because it is still the only thing that gives you any leverage at all. Truly. You know, yes, if you end up in the PTAB and it's invalidated, but still you've got something to fight with. If you have nothing to fight with, you're screwed. Then why even try to go to market? So go to Amazon and watch the show Invalidated. Invalidated. It is worth the hour. And if you have to pay for it, I think it's $2.50. It's worth it. It's about Josh Malone and a lot of inventors who've teed something up and someone has knocked it off. And generally, it's a U.S. company. So you've got to fight the battle where it's at. Now, one of the things, the point that they make, and something that I've known for years, if you are that worried about China stealing your intellectual property, then file in China. Because if you filed in China, they're going to enforce it in China. All right? Two countries generally where you file the intellectual property: your home country, or the country you think is going to be the biggest market, and the country most likely, all right, where it's going to be manufactured. And still, most likely, things are done in China, sometimes Mexico. All right, so you might want to file the Patent Cooperation Treaty, the PCT, so that gives you 30 months then to decide, are you going to file in Mexico or are you going to file in China? If you've got the ability, you still default, make sure that you file in China so that some turkey here in the US cannot go ahead and place an order in China. Okay, so Archimedes Offspring. I am the president and CEO of Archimedes Offspring. We pay attention to infringements. All right, we pay attention to who might be stealing the intellectual property. When we are trying to protect you, the inventor, we are protecting the investor side as well. So we're going to say, all right, you know what? Let's consider filing intellectual property in China. The fund pays for that. You don't have to. All right. If someone infringes on intellectual property that was paid for by Archimedes Offspring, one of the funds of Archimedes Offsprings, guess what? We're going to go after them. All right. We are not going to play games with this. If we have already licensed it to somebody, they're going to go after it too. So the inventor is no longer left alone. One of the things that we learned from Josh Malone the product that is featured in, or one of the products that's featured in Invalidated, was that had he not licensed his intellectual property to a big toy company, there's no way he would have been able to afford to go after them, right? Because the toy company helped. So when you're looking at who is stealing your intellectual property and how do you fight them, all right? One, it's understanding it's normally somebody who wants a piece of your market, right? So we always look at making the price, all right, the very lowest it can be, right? If your price point should be $9.99, then by golly, when we start looking for manufacturing, we're going to make sure that we hit that price point. So then there's no incentive for someone to knock it off because you're the original one. If it is, you're still able to go after them if you're part of Archimedes Offspring and we're working with a licensee, we can go after them because we know we've got the best product at the best price. So when somebody wants a piece of you, you want to have a team behind you. If you're David, you want all the angels behind you shaking a big stick and saying, no way, man, we are here to stay. You certainly don't want to be caught with having to fight it all by yourself. So AOS gives you that team mentality of you're not out there all alone. You've got the guidance of it. If someone steals your intellectual property, another company in the US, we can shut them down. We're going to go after them. All right. If we end up in the Patent Trials and Appeals Board, we're going to fight it. We're going to fight to protect you. We're going to fight to protect the investors. So when you think about, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody about it, those ideas, not a belly button, but still, until you've developed it, until you've really put that time and energy into it, generally nobody wants it. I get a lot of them and I say, oh, that's a cool idea. But until you've got the functioning prototype and the intellectual property, you've got nothing to call your own. It's just an idea. So what we look at then is how do we tee that up? How do we protect it? Again, the patents, even though someone can steal your intellectual property, it is the patent that gives you the right to fight. No patent, no negotiations. It is that simple and straightforward. It doesn't even matter if you are the first to market. I know that was always kind of the go-to. It's like, oh, don't file a patent, just be first to market. That doesn't stop somebody from knocking it off and copying you because they want a piece of your market share. And now you have literally no right to fight. Well, the patent gives you the right to fight. And that's what we want. We want the right to fight with you and for you. And so does a licensee. That's why, even on Shark Tank, they say, well, have you filed a patent yet? You file a good utility patent with a registered patent attorney. And if you cannot file a utility patent, you want to know why. I want to know why. When somebody says, oh, we did a design patent. I had a guy the other day, a product that was actually quite useful and it sounded like it might have some serious legs. They filed a design patent. You can't use that. It was a circle. If they make it a triangle, they can get around you. No. How is it used? How does it function? If all you could file is a design patent, maybe you shouldn't be filing anything at all. Right? There's a thought. Keep your day job. This isn't going to happen. We are going to help you understand those parameters. And then we're going to use the patent, all right, as the leverage to keep anybody else from knocking it off. So when you think about who is stealing your intellectual property, usually you've teed it up by then. Somebody else is seeing your market share and they want a piece of that. And it's usually somebody in the US who wants a piece of your US market share. So keep that in mind and let us know. If you've got questions, you want someone to help you fight the battle, go through the vetting process. All right. Find out what your options are. Let me know what your questions and concerns are. My name is Rita Crompton, and I am the president and CEO of Archimedes Offspring.